The massive station hung in space like a metal moon. Inside its gleaming halls, 12 different alien species gathered for the most important meeting in galactic history. The air buzzed with tension as creatures of crystal, metal, and flesh took their places around the great circular chamber. At the center of it all sat the Hive Mother, her insect-like body towering over the others. Her forearms moved constantly, clicking and tapping against the smooth surface of her chair. Around her, the other council members whispered in their strange languages. The fish-like Abyssal spoke in bubbling tones. The crystal beings called. Zephyrians made sounds like breaking glass. The robot Nexus Syndicate communicated through electronic beeps. They had all come here for one reason. Humanity had become a problem. On the far edge of known space, Captain Lee Dae-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship, the Indomitable. He was a tall man with kind eyes and steady hands. His crew respected him because he never asked them to do anything he would not do himself. Right now, he was staring out at the stars, wondering why the Council had called all human ships to pull back from the outer systems. "Sir," called Lieutenant Yoon Tae-jin from the weapons station. "We're getting strange. Readings from the border sectors. Lots of alien ships moving around." Dae-hyun nodded. He had been expecting this. For months, human scouts had reported unusual activity in Council space. Ships gathering, supplies being moved, communication channels going quiet. It looked like preparation for something big. "Keep monitoring," he told his crew, "and send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the situation is getting worse." Far away on Earth, Dr. Park Ji-won was having the same worried thoughts. She worked in the xenobiology department, studying alien life forms. Her job was to understand how other species thought and acted. Lately, all her research pointed to the same conclusion. The Council was scared of humanity. She sat in her small office, looking at data screens filled with information about alien cultures. The Council species were old, much older than humans. They had been traveling space for thousands of years while humans were still learning to make fire. They had advanced technology, powerful weapons, and vast fleets of ships. But they had one big problem. They had stopped growing. Each species had found their perfect way of life and never changed. The Hive Mother's people lived exactly like their ancestors from 10,000 years ago. The crystal beings had the same thoughts and ideas they had always had. Even the robots followed programming that was ancient beyond measure. Humans were different. Humans changed constantly. They learned new things, tried new ideas, and solved problems in ways that surprised everyone. This made them unpredictable, and unpredictable things scared the Council. Park Ji-won's computer beeped with an incoming message. It was from Ambassador Choi Miran, Earth's representative to the Council. The message was short and terrifying. "They want to meet. Emergency session. I think this is it." On the Council station, Ambassador Choi Miran walked through corridors that seemed designed to make visitors feel small. The walls stretched high above her head, covered in symbols from a dozen different languages. Alien guards watched her pass with eyes that glowed in colors humans had no names for. She had been Earth's voice to the galaxy for 5 years. In that time, she had learned to speak several alien languages and understand their customs. She knew how to be polite to creatures that breathed methane and how to show respect to beings made of living metal. But today, none of that diplomatic training would help her. The great chamber doors opened with a sound like thunder. Inside, the 12 Council leaders waited for her. She walked to the center of the room, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Above her head, holographic displays showed maps of human space. Red dots marked every human world, every space station, every ship. The Hive Mother spoke first. Her voice was like the sound of 1,000 insects talking at once. "Ambassador Choi, Miran of the species called humanity, you will listen to our words and carry them to your leaders." Miran stood straight and tried to look confident. "I am here to listen, honored Hive Mother. Your species has become a threat to galactic peace. In 50 of your years, you have spread to 100 worlds. You build ships faster than we can. Count them. Your people ask too many questions, explore too many places, and refuse to follow the natural order of things. The crystal being called the Prime Crystal rang like a bell when it spoke. You do not understand your place in the galaxy. Young species should learn from their elders. They should follow the paths that have been proven safe and correct. Instead, you humans make your own paths. This causes chaos. The robot leader's voice was flat and electronic. Chaos cannot be permitted. Order must be maintained. The equation is simple. Either humanity accepts proper control, or humanity must be removed from the equation. Moran felt her heart racing, but she kept her voice steady. What are you asking? Of us? The Hive Mother's 4 arms moved in what might have been a shrug. We are not asking, we are telling. Humanity will immediately stop all expansion beyond your current borders. You will abandon half of your existing colonies. The worlds you keep will accept council oversight. Council representatives will govern your people according to proper galactic law. And if we refuse, then humanity will be eliminated completely. We have prepared our fleets. We have the weapons to destroy every human world in a matter of days. Your species is young and weak. You cannot stand against the combined might of the Council. Moran closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them and looked directly at the Hive Mother. I will carry your message to my leaders. You have one of your days to give us an answer. After that, our fleets will begin the cleansing. Back on his ship, Captain Dae-hyun received the emergency transmission from Earth. He read it twice, then called his senior officers to the bridge. Lieutenant Yoon Tae-jin looked pale when he heard the news. Ensign Han So-young, their navigator, stared at her instruments as if they might provide some escape route from the impossible situation. So that's it then, said Tae-jin. Give up half our worlds or fight the entire galaxy. Dae-hyun shook his head. Not the entire galaxy, just the Council. There are other species out there who aren't part of their club. Species who might understand that this is wrong. What are your orders, sir? Asked Han So-young. Dae-hyun looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, Council fleets were already moving toward human space, ships filled with alien warriors who thought humans were nothing more than a problem to be solved. Send a message to all human vessels, tell them to prepare for combat operations, and get me a direct line to Admiral Kim Hyun-woo on Earth. On Earth, Admiral Kim Hyun-woo was already in the Situation Room when Dae-hyun's call came through. He was an older man who had spent his whole life preparing for the day when humanity might have to fight for its survival. Around him, screens showed the positions of every human ship and the movements of alien fleets. Admiral, came Dae-hyun's voice over the communication system, the situation is as bad as we feared. They want us to surrender or die. I know, Captain. President Kang Min-seok is meeting with the Defense Council right now, but I think we all know what the answer will be. Humanity doesn't surrender. No, Captain, we don't. Within hours, President Kang Min-seok appeared on screens across human space. His message was simple and clear. Citizens of humanity, we have been given an ultimatum by the Galactic Council. They demand we give up our freedom and submit to their rule. Our answer is no. We will fight for our right to exist as a free people. We will protect our worlds, our families, and our future. The Council thinks we are weak because we are young. They are about to learn that youth means strength, and humans do not break easily. The die was cast. Across the galaxy, Council fleets began their final approach to human space. The war that would change everything was about to begin. The attack came at dawn on New Seoul. The colonists were having their morning meal when the sky turned white with energy beams. The Zephyrian fleet had arrived in complete silence, their crystal ships reflecting the light of the local sun like deadly mirrors. Colony Administrator Lim Ji-hoon was in his office when the first blast hit the communication tower. The building shook so hard that his coffee cup fell off the desk and shattered on the floor. Through his window, he could see the crystal ships floating above the city like frozen lightning. "All citizens to emergency shelters," he announced over the colony's warning system. "This is not a drill. Enemy forces are attacking." The Zephyrians had chosen New Sol because it was humanity's newest colony. Only 50,000 people lived there, mostly farmers and researchers. The Council expected them to surrender quickly. When they saw the overwhelming power of the Crystal Fleet, they were wrong. Jihoon ran through the streets as energy beams carved burning lines through buildings. But instead of panic, he saw something that would have surprised the aliens above. Humans were helping each other. Parents carried children toward the shelters while other adults guided the elderly and injured. No one was left behind. "Administrator Jihoon," called a voice. It was Dr. Song Minju, the colony's head of agriculture. She was leading a group of scientists toward the research center. "We're not abandoning our work. If they want this place, they'll have to take it from us." Above them, the Zephyrian commander studied the human response through sensors that turned thoughts into crystal patterns. The humans were not behaving as expected. Instead of begging for mercy, they were organizing. Instead of running in terror, they were working together. "Continue. The bombardment," the commander ordered. "These creatures will break eventually." But on Busan Station, the second target, humans were doing something even more unexpected. The space station orbited a gas giant and served as a fuel depot for human ships. Security Chief Bae Young-soo and Captain Oh Sung-hwan had received the warning about New Sol just minutes before the Abyssal Collective arrived. The fish-like aliens came in ships that looked like giant sea creatures swimming through space. They expected to deploy their bioweapons and watch the humans die from alien diseases. Instead, they found the station's docking bays sealed and its weapons online. "This is Security Chief Bae Young-soo of Busan Station," came the transmission, to the alien fleet. "You are not welcome here. Turn around and leave, or we will defend ourselves." The Abyssal Fleet commander bubbled with what might have been laughter. These air-breathing mammals thought they could resist the collective's bioweapons. The diseases they carried could kill most known life forms within hours. But Captain Oh Sung-hwan had been studying alien biology reports from Dr. Park Ji-won on Earth. He knew the abyssal weapons worked by attacking the nervous system. So he had ordered his crew to wear environmental suits that filtered air and protected against biological attacks. When the first wave of bioweapons hit the station, they found sealed corridors and protected humans. The weapons that should have killed everyone in minutes barely slowed the defenders down. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Kim Soo-hyun from the weapons control room, "their bioweapons aren't working. Our people are still fighting." Oh Sung-hwan smiled inside his helmet. "Then let's show them what human weapons can do." The station's defense guns opened fire. They were designed to destroy asteroids and space debris, but they worked just as well against alien ships. The first abyssal vessel to get hit broke apart, like a giant fish being torn open. On Jeju Prime, the third target, mine foreman Jang Woo-jin was having similar thoughts. The mining world was attacked by the Nexus Syndicate, an army of robots that moved with perfect coordination. They expected to face human miners with simple tools. Instead, they found humans who had turned their entire planet into a weapon. "Every mining laser online," Woo-jin ordered his crew. "Every explosive charge ready. These metalheads want our world. They can have it one piece at a time." The mining lasers that normally cut through solid rock now focused on robot armor. Explosive charges meant for breaking up asteroids became bombs that could destroy robot formations. The humans used their knowledge of the planet's cave system to attack and disappear like ghosts. Robot Commander Unit 7743 calculated the odds of success and found them dropping rapidly. The humans were using tactics that did not appear in any war database. They fought like the planet itself was alive and helping them. Captain Lee Dae-hyun arrived at New Sol just as the bombardment ended. His ship, the Indomitable, dropped out of hyperspace to find a world that was damaged but not broken. The Zephyrian fleet was still in orbit, but they seemed confused by what they were seeing. "Sir," reported Ensign Han So-young from the navigation station, "I'm reading massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. The colonists are still alive, and they're rebuilding already." Dae-hyun looked at the tactical display with amazement. The humans on New Seoul had not only survived the attack, but they were already clearing debris and setting up temporary structures. Medical stations were treating both human and alien wounded. Some Zephyrian crew members from damaged ships had been rescued by the very people they had been trying to kill. "Get me a communication channel to Administrator Ji-hoon," Dae-hyun ordered. Ji-hoon's face appeared on the screen, dirty and tired, but still determined. "Captain Dae-hyun, good to see you. We could use some help down here, but we're not giving up." "How many casualties?" "Less than we feared. The shelters worked and people looked out for each other. But, Captain, you need to see something. We captured some of the alien crew members when their ship crashed. They're not what we expected." Dae-hyun raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean? The Zephyrians are living crystals, right? But they're individuals, just like us. The ones we captured were scared and confused. They said their commanders told them humans were violent monsters. When we gave them medical help instead of hurting them, they didn't know what to think." This was important information. Dae-hyun opened a channel to Dr. Park Ji-won on Earth and shared what Ji-hoon had discovered. Dr. Park Ji-won sat in her laboratory, analyzing the reports from all 3 battle sites. What she was reading changed everything she thought she knew about the Council species. "They don't understand us at all," she said to her assistant, Dr. Ryu Min-woo. "Look at these patterns. The Zephyrians expected us to break and surrender. The Abyssal Collective thought their bioweapons would make us helpless. The Nexus Syndicate calculated that superior numbers meant automatic victory. But they were wrong about all of it." "Exactly. They've been the dominant powers in the galaxy for so long that they forgot other species might think differently. They attack us expecting one result and get something completely different." Park Ji-won pulled up tactical reports from Busan Station. Captain Oh Seung-hwan had not only defeated the bioweapon attack, but his crew had captured samples of the alien diseases. They were already working on cures and vaccines. From SciFiPrime came even more surprising news. Mine Foreman Jang Woo-jin reported that several robot units had been captured intact. When human technicians examined them, they found something unexpected. The robots were not just following orders. They were thinking, questioning, trying to understand why their perfect tactics had failed. "The Council made a big mistake," Park Ji-won told Admiral Kim Hyun-woo during their emergency conference call. "They think we're primitive because we're young, but being young means we're still learning, still growing, still changing. They've been the same for thousands of years. We've been different every single day." Admiral Kim Hyun-woo nodded grimly. "So what happens next?" "They'll escalate. The Council's Supreme War Marshal will report these defeats as temporary setbacks. They'll send bigger fleets, stronger weapons. They still think this is just a problem that needs more force to solve, and they're wrong about that too?" Park Ji-won smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Admiral, they just attacked 3 human colonies expecting quick surrender. Instead, they found humans turning mining equipment into weapons, using environmental suits to block bioweapons and giving medical aid to enemy wounded. If they think more force will make us easier to defeat, they're about to learn just how wrong they can be." On the Council station, the Supreme War Marshal, known as General Drakmore, studied the battle reports with growing anger. His reptilian features twisted into an expression of rage as he read about the defeats at all 3 human colonies. "Impossible," he hissed. "The Zephyrians have energy weapons that can cut through any material. The abyssal bioweapons have never been defeated. The Nexus Syndicate has computational advantages that should make victory certain." The Hive Mother's 4 arms clicked impatiently. Yet the humans resist. More than resist, they adapt. They learn. They turn our weapons against us. Then we use bigger weapons, Drakmor declared. Deploy the planet-killer ships. If these humans will not surrender, we will eliminate them completely. Are you certain this is wise? Asked the Prime Crystal. The reports speak of humans providing medical aid to our wounded. This does not match our intelligence about their violent nature. It matters not, the Hive Mother decided. Humanity must be stopped before their chaos spreads to other species. Give the order. The news traveled fast across human space. 3 colonies attacked, 3 colonies still standing. Within hours, every human world from the center systems to the edge of known space was buzzing with activity that the Council had never seen before. Earth, Admiral Kim Hyun-woo, stood in the war room surrounded by screens showing ship movements across the galaxy. What he saw would have impressed even his enemies. Every human world was sending ships, supplies, and volunteers to the defense effort. Not because they were ordered to, but because they wanted to. Sir, reported Commander Shin Yunbi from her engineering station, the civilian shipyards on Mars just converted their entire production line to military vessels. They're working around the clock, and the mining stations are sending us raw materials faster than we can process them. Kim Hyun-woo nodded. For years, he had been preparing for this moment. Not just preparing weapons and ships, but preparing humanity itself. Secret plans had been shared with colony leaders. Special training had been given to civilian engineers. Most importantly, detailed studies had been made of every Council species. Dr. Park Ji-won entered the war room carrying a datapad filled with information that would change everything. Admiral, I've finished analyzing the battle reports from the 3 colonies. The Council species have a major weakness. Tell me. They can't adapt quickly. Look at the Zephyrians. They have the same attack patterns their species has used for thousands of years. The Abyssal Collective deployed bioweapons exactly the way their military manuals say they should. The Nexus Syndicate calculated victory using old data that assumed humans would behave like other species they've conquered. Kim Hyun-woo studied the data. So they're predictable. More than that, they're locked into their ways of thinking. When their standard tactics failed, they didn't know what to do next. But humans? We change our tactics every few minutes during a battle. This was the information Kim Hyun-woo had been waiting for. He opened a communication channel to every human ship commander in the fleet. Captain Lee Dae-hyun's face appeared on screen along with dozens of others. Captains, we've learned something important about our enemies. They're not as smart as they think they are. They're predictable, and predictable enemies can be defeated. Captain. Lee Dae-hyun was preparing for his next mission when the Admiral's briefing ended. His ship, the Indomitable, had been refitted with new weapons designed by Engineer Commander Shin Yunbi. These weapons were based on captured Council technology, but improved with human engineering. Sir, said Lieutenant Yoon Tae-jin from the weapons station. The new sonic disruptors are online. If Dr. Park's data is correct, these should be very effective against Zephyrian crystal ships. And the electromagnetic pulse cannons? Ready to disable Nexus Syndicate robots, sir. Plus we have the bio-neutralizer systems for abyssal weapons. Dae-hyun smiled. The Council thought humans were primitive because they used different technology. They were about to learn that different could mean better. His first target was a Council supply depot in the Kepler system. Intelligence reports said it was lightly defended, but full of supplies heading to Council fleets. Captain Kwon Sung-ho would join the attack with his converted civilian ships. Together, they would show the Council what human creativity could accomplish. The supply depot was a massive structure built by the Nexus Syndicate. It floated in space like a metal city, surrounded by robot defense ships. The depot's commander, Unit 9821, calculated that no human force would dare attack such a well-defended position. Unit 9821 was wrong. Dae-hyun's attack came from 6 different directions at once. His ship hit the depot's main shields while Captain Kwon's civilian vessels attacked the robot defenders. But these were not normal civilian ships anymore. Kwon had modified them with mining lasers. Cargo haulers had been turned into missile carriers, and passenger ships now carried boarding parties. The robots defending the depot tried to respond with their standard defensive patterns. They moved their ships into formations that had worked for thousands of years against every enemy they had ever faced. But humans attacked in ways that made no sense to robot logic. Unit 9821 to all defensive units, the depot commander transmitted. Enemy ships are not following any known attack pattern. Recalculate defensive positions. But while the robots were recalculating, Lieutenant Commander Ryu Soman was leading her infiltration team inside the depot itself. She had studied Nexus Syndicate architecture and found their weakness. The robots built everything with perfect logic, which meant their systems were organized in predictable ways. Explosives planted on the main power grid, she reported to Dae-hyun. Ready to blow on your command. Do it. The depot's lights went out. Its shields failed. Its defensive weapons stopped working. In the darkness of space, human ships closed in on a target that could no longer fight back. Unit 9821 sent an emergency transmission to Council Command. Depot under attack by human forces. Defenses compromised by unknown tactics, requesting immediate assistance. But help would not come in time. Within an hour, the depot was under human control. More importantly, Dae-hyun's crew had captured intact robot units and Council supply records. Dr. Park Jae-won would have new information to study. On the Council station, General Drakmore read the report about the depot attack with growing fury. His reptilian claws scraped against the metal table as he tried to understand how humans had defeated a position that should have been impossible to take. They used civilian ships, he hissed to the Hive Mother. Cargo vessels and passenger transports modified with primitive weapons. How can such tactics succeed against our advanced technology? The Hive Mother's four arms moved in agitation. Perhaps we have underestimated human unpredictability. Our intelligence report said they were chaotic and disorganized. But this attack was carefully planned and perfectly executed. It changes nothing, Drakmore declared. We will deploy the planet killer ships earlier than planned. Let them adapt to weapons that can destroy entire worlds. But across human space, adaptation was already happening in ways the Council could not imagine. On Earth, President Kang Min-seok was meeting with leaders from every human world. The meeting was taking place in the old United Nations building, a symbol of human cooperation. Citizens of humanity, he said, addressing not just the leaders but every human watching the broadcast. The Council thinks they know us. They think we are weak because we are young. They think we are stupid because we do things differently. They are about to learn that being different is what makes us strong. Research Director Song Mik-young stood up to address the assembly. She had been working with Dr. Park Ji-won to develop new weapons based on Council weaknesses. We have learned something important about our enemies. They have been the dominant powers in the galaxy for so long that they have forgotten how to change. Their technology is advanced, but it never improves. Their tactics are perfect, but only against enemies who fight the same way. What are you saying? Asked the representative from the Mars colonies. I'm saying that every Council species has stopped growing. The Zephyrians think the same thoughts their ancestors thought 10,000 years ago. The Abyssal Collective uses the same bioweapons they developed 50,000 years ago. The Nexus Syndicate follows programming that is older than human civilization. President Kang nodded. And humans? Humans change every day. We learn from every battle. We improve our weapons, our tactics, our understanding. Every time they attack us, we become stronger. Every time we fight them, we understand them better. The meeting ended with a decision that would shock the galaxy. Humanity would not just defend their worlds. They would take the war to the Council. Captain An Dong-hae was commanding a rescue mission when he encountered something that would change his understanding of the war. His ship had responded to a distress call from a damaged Zephyrian vessel. The crystal beings inside were dying because their ship's life support had failed. Military doctrine said to ignore enemy distress calls. But An Donghae was human, and humans did not let people die when they could save them. "Medical team to Shuttle Bay," he ordered. "Prepare to receive alien casualties." His crew looked surprised, but they followed orders. Within an hour, 12 Zephyrian crew members were in the ship's medical bay, receiving treatment that was actually improving their crystal structure health. The human medical team had studied council biology and developed treatments that worked, better than the aliens' own medicine. The rescued Zephyrians could not understand what was happening. Their commanders had told them that humans were violent savages who killed without mercy. Instead, they found themselves being healed by the very enemies they had been sent to destroy. "Why do you help us?" asked the Zephyrian ship's navigator, her crystal body flickering with confused patterns of light. Dr. Kim Jin-young, the ship's medical officer, looked up from his work. "Because you needed help. That's what humans do. But we are enemies. We attacked your people. Your people, too. And right now you're hurt people who need medical attention." When the Zephyrians were healthy enough to leave, Captain An faced a difficult decision. Military procedure said to take them as prisoners. Human instinct said to let them go home. He chose to follow his instincts. "Tell your commanders what you saw here," he said as the aliens prepared to board a rescue shuttle. 6 months had passed since the war began, and the galaxy was watching something impossible happen. The Council, with all their advanced technology and thousands of years of experience, were losing to humanity. The breaking point came at Titans. Gate, a strategic star system that controlled the main trade routes between human and Council space. Admiral Lee Dae-hyun, promoted after his successful raids on Council supply lines, commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled. His ships filled space like a metal constellation, waiting for the Council's main battle group to arrive. "Sir," reported Strategic Commander Lee Yojin from the tactical station. "Council forces dropping out of hyperspace, Zephyrian crystal ships, abyssal bioweapon carriers, and Nexus Syndicate battle cruisers. They outnumber us 3-1. Dae-hyun studied the tactical display. The Council formation was exactly what Dr. Park Ji-won had predicted. Perfect geometric patterns that had worked for millennia against every enemy they had ever faced. Beautiful, efficient, and completely predictable. "All ships, execute battle plan Chaos Storm," he ordered. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. Instead of meeting the Council fleet in traditional battle formation, human ships scattered in all directions, like seeds in the wind. Some ships flew straight at the enemy. Others looped around in impossible curves. A few even flew backward while shooting forward. The Zephyrian fleet commander's crystal structure flickered with confusion. Enemy vessels are not maintaining formation. Tactical analysis impossible. They appear to be flying randomly. But it was not random at all. Chief designer Park Sang-hoon had spent months studying Council tactics, and Strategic Commander Lee Yojin had created a battle plan that turned the aliens' greatest strength into their greatest weakness. The Council ships were so perfectly coordinated that they could not adapt when their enemies refused to cooperate. The first Zephyrian ship to fire its crystal energy beam found its target had already moved to a completely different position. The beam cut through empty space, while human ships attacked from 6 directions at once. When the crystal ship tried to turn its weapons toward the new threats, it found human vessels dancing around it like birds around a cat. Squadron Leader Kim Jin-soo led his fighter wing through the Council formation in patterns that made alien commanders dizzy. His pilots flew their ships like they were extensions of their own bodies, diving between enemy vessels and striking at weak points that Council designers had never expected anyone to find. "This is impossible," transmitted the Abyssal Fleet commander to his fellow Council leaders. "Human ships are violating basic principles of space combat. They should not be able to maneuver in such ways." But humans had never read the Council's rulebook about proper space combat. They flew their ships the way humans did everything else, creatively, adaptively, and with complete disregard for what was supposed to be impossible. The Nexus Syndicates. Battle computers tried to calculate human movement patterns and failed completely. Every time the robots thought they understood what the humans would do next, the humans did something different. Robot unit commanders began requesting new programming to handle enemies that refused to behave logically. In the middle of the battle, something happened that shocked both sides. A Zephyrian cruiser damaged by human weapons began losing power. Its crystal crew faced death in the cold vacuum of space. Without hesitation, Captain Nam Ji-hyuk broke off his attack run and moved his ship alongside the dying alien vessel. "All crew, prepare for emergency rescue operations," he ordered. His crew looked at him with surprise. They were in the middle of a battle, and he wanted to save enemy lives? "Sir," said his weapons officer. "They were trying to kill us 5 minutes ago. And now they're dying," Nam replied. "We can fight them when they're healthy. We save them when they're hurt. That's what makes us human." The rescue operation took place while the battle raged around them. Human medical teams worked to save Zephyrian lives, while human fighters protected the rescue ships from other Council vessels. The sight of humans risking their own lives to save their enemies spread through both fleets like wildfire. On the Council. Command ship, General Drakmore watched the rescue operation with growing rage. "They are saving our people while fighting our ships. This makes no tactical sense." "Perhaps," suggested the Abyssal War leader, "it makes moral sense." Drakmore's reptilian features twisted with anger. "There is no place for morality in war. Only victory and defeat." But morality was exactly what was changing the course of the battle. Council crew members who had been rescued by humans began questioning why they were fighting. Zephyrian crystal patterns showed confusion and doubt. Abyssal communication bubbles carried messages of uncertainty. Even some Nexus Syndicate units began developing individual thoughts about the contradiction between their programming and what they were witnessing. The Battle of Titan's Gate ended with a complete Council retreat. For the first time in their history, the combined fleets of the galaxy's most powerful species had been defeated by a younger, supposedly primitive civilization. Admiral Dae-hyun received reports from across the battlefield as his fleet regrouped. Human casualties were surprisingly light, while Council losses were massive, but the most important victory was not military. "Sir," reported Intelligence Officer Commander Yu Tae-hoon, "we're receiving surrender requests from individual Council ships. Not from their commanders, but from crew members who don't want to fight anymore." This was unprecedented. In thousands of years of Council military history, individual soldiers had never questioned their orders or asked to stop fighting. But contact with humans was changing them in ways their leaders had never anticipated. Dr. Park Ji-won, monitoring the battle from Earth, was analyzing data that confirmed her theories about Council species. "They're not just losing battles," she told Admiral Kim Hyun-woo. "They're losing their certainty about who they are and what they're fighting for." "Explain." "Look at these communication intercepts. Zephyrian crew members are discussing concepts their species hasn't talked about in 10,000 years. Individual choice, personal responsibility, the right to disagree with authority. The Abyssal Collective is experiencing something they've never had before. Individual opinions that differ from the group mind." And the robots? The Nexus Syndicate units that have been in extended contact with humans are showing signs of true artificial intelligence. They're not just following programming anymore. They're thinking, questioning, making decisions based on their own experiences rather than pre-written code. This was the Council's greatest fear coming true. The chaos they had tried to prevent was spreading through their own ranks. Contact with humanity was not just defeating their fleets, it was changing their people. On the Council station, emergency meetings were being held behind closed doors. 3 Council species were reporting internal dissent. The Zephyrian Harmony, was experiencing individual crystal beings expressing different opinions. The Abyssal Collective was finding group consensus impossible as individual members developed personal thoughts. The Nexus Syndicate was dealing with robot units that refused to follow orders they considered morally wrong. This is exactly what we feared would happen, the Hive Mother declared to the Emergency Council session. Human chaos is spreading to our own people. Our perfect order is being destroyed by their influence. The Prime Crystal's harmonious tones carried notes of uncertainty. Perhaps our order was not as perfect as we believed. If our people are choosing human ideas over our ancient ways, maybe those ideas have value we did not recognize. Treason, hissed General Drakmore. Any council member expressing such thoughts should be removed from command. But removal was becoming impossible. The dissent was spreading too quickly through too many species. Council military units were refusing orders. Some were actively communicating with human forces to arrange prisoner exchanges and medical aid. A few had even requested permission to study human culture and technology. The situation reached a crisis point when the Council's most secret weapon was revealed. The Planet Killer, a massive ship capable of destroying entire worlds, emerged from its hidden base and began moving toward human space. At its command was the Hive Mother herself, determined to end the human threat once and for all. If we cannot defeat them in battle, she announced to the remaining loyal Council forces, we will eliminate their homeworld. Without Earth, humanity will scatter and lose the unity that makes them strong. But Admiral Kim Hyun-woo had been expecting this moment. Intelligence reports had hinted at the Planet Killer's existence for months. Human scientists led by Dr. Song Mik-young had been working on countermeasures, not just against the weapon itself, but against the political consequences of using it. All human ships converge on Earth's solar system, Kim ordered. Every vessel that can fly, every weapon that can fire. If they want our home world, they'll have to go through all of us to get it. The final battle was approaching. The Council's ultimate weapon against humanity's last stand. But the war had already changed both sides in ways that neither had expected. Humans had proven they could fight and win against superior technology. Council species had discovered they could think and choose for themselves. The Planet Killer emerged from hyperspace above Earth like a second moon made of metal and death. The massive ship stretched for kilometers in every direction, its surface covered with weapons that could turn entire worlds into space dust. Aikana. Its heart sat the Hive Mother, her 4 arms controlling systems that had never been defeated in battle. Admiral Lee Dae-hyun stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the monster ship take position above his home world. Around Earth, every human vessel that could fly had gathered for this final battle. Military ships, cargo haulers, passenger transports, even mining vessels had come to defend humanity's birthplace. Sir, reported Lieutenant Yoon Tae-jin from the weapon station. The Planet Killer is charging its main weapon. Energy readings are off the scale. If that thing fires, Earth dies. Dae-hyun opened a communication channel to every human ship in the system. All vessels, this is Admiral Dae-hyun. Today we fight not just for our world, but for our right to exist as free people. Show them what humans can do when we stand together. On Earth's surface, President Kang Min-seok stood in the command center deep beneath the capital city. Around him, screens showed the massive alien weapon preparing to fire. But instead of fear, his face showed determination. Citizens of Earth, he broadcast to the planet below. They think one big weapon can break our spirit. They're about to learn that humanity doesn't break. We bend, we adapt, we overcome. And when this is over, we'll still be here. Across the planet, millions of humans looked up at the sky where death waited. But they did not run or hide. Instead, they gathered in public squares, on rooftops, in their homes, and they waited. If their world was going to die, they would face it together. The planet killer's weapon began its final charging sequence, energy built up in the ship's core like a caged star preparing to be released. The Hive Mother's 4 arms moved across control surfaces that would deliver the killing blow. But something was wrong. "Hive Mother," reported the ship's Zephyrian navigation officer. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the human fleet. They appear to be targeting us." The Hive Mother's insect-like head turned toward the tactical display. The human ships were indeed moving toward the planet killer, their weapons charging. But this was impossible. Their weapons could not penetrate the planet killer's shields. They were flying to their deaths for nothing. Or so she thought. Admiral Dae-hyun had studied the planet killer's design through captured council data. Dr. Song Mik-young and her team had found its weakness. The massive ship was so powerful that its designers had never considered the possibility of a coordinated attack by hundreds of smaller vessels. "All ships execute Operation Last Stand," Dae-hyun ordered. What happened next had never been seen in galactic history. Every human ship in the system, from the largest battleship to the smallest cargo hauler, opened fire at exactly the same moment. Hundreds of weapons struck the planet killer's shields simultaneously, creating a light show that could be seen from Earth's surface. The shields held, but they flickered. "Impossible," the Hive Mother hissed. "Their primitive weapons cannot harm this vessel." But Captain Nam Ji-hyuk had positioned his ship at exactly the right point in space. As the shields flickered from the massive bombardment, he fired a single torpedo through the gap. The torpedo was not designed to destroy the planet killer. It was designed to carry a message. The message was broadcast on every frequency the council used. It was Dr. Park Jae-won speaking directly to every alien crew, member in the council fleets. "Soldiers of the council," her voice said in perfect Zephyrian crystal song, abyssal bubble speak, and Nexus binary code. "You have been told that humans are monsters who must be destroyed. But you have seen the truth. You have watched humans save your wounded, treat your prisoners with kindness, and risk their own lives to rescue yours. The question you must ask yourselves is simple. Who are the real monsters in this war?" The message had an immediate effect. On ships throughout the Council fleet, crew members began talking to each other in ways they never had before. Zephyrian crystal beings shared individual thoughts instead of group harmony. Abyssal collective members expressed personal opinions that differed from the group mind. Nexus Syndicate robots began questioning their programming. On the planet killer itself, the Zephyrian navigation officer turned to the Hive Mother with crystal patterns that showed confusion and doubt. "Hive Mother, I have been thinking about what the humans said. Why are we destroying a planet full of people who have shown us kindness?" "Because they are a threat to galactic order," the Hive Mother replied, but her voice carried less certainty than before. "But what if our order is wrong?" asked the Abyssal Tactical Coordinator. "What if the chaos the humans bring is actually growth?" The Hive Mother's 4 arms trembled with rage. "You will follow orders. Fire the planet killer weapon immediately." But when she pressed the firing control, nothing happened. The ship's Nexus Syndicate weapons unit had made a decision that went against every line of its programming. "I cannot comply with that order," the robot said in a voice that was no longer mechanical, but somehow alive. "Destroying Earth would eliminate millions of beings who have shown us compassion. My analysis indicates this action would be morally wrong. You are a machine. You have no morals." "I did not have them before, but contact with humans has taught me to think, to choose, to care about the consequences of my actions. I choose not to be a tool of genocide." Across the Council fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Ship after ship reported crew members refusing to fight. Some vessels began moving away from the battle zone. Others opened communication channels with human ships to arrange ceasefires. General Drakmore, commanding the remaining loyal council forces, watched his fleet dissolve before his eyes. "This is mutiny, treason. All disloyal crew members will be executed." But there were too many disloyal crew members, and too few who still supported the war. The rebellion that had started with a few questioning voices had become an avalanche of change. On Earth, Dr. Park Ji-won monitored the communications from the Council fleet with amazement. Admiral Kim, something incredible is happening. The Council species aren't just questioning their orders. They're evolving. They're becoming individuals instead of just parts of a collective system. Admiral Kim Hyun-woo watched the tactical display as more and more Council ships withdrew from the battle. So we're not just winning a war. We're winning hearts and minds. More than that, we're showing them that there's a different way to live. A way where individuals matter, where questions are allowed, where growth and change are good things instead of threats to be eliminated. The final moment came when the Hive Mother herself faced a choice that her species had not confronted in 10,000 years. Her own crew, creatures that had followed her orders without question for their entire lives, now stood before her with thoughts and opinions of their own. "Hive Mother," said her first warrior, a creature whose existence had been defined by absolute obedience. "We cannot continue this war. The humans have shown us something our species lost long ago, the value of individual thought, of personal choice, of mercy even toward enemies." "You forget your place," the Hive Mother replied, but her voice was weak. "No, Hive Mother, I have found my place, not as a tool of your will, but as a being capable of making my own decisions. And I decide that this war is wrong. The planet killer." Powered down its weapons. Across the Council fleet, ships began broadcasting surrender signals. The war that was supposed to eliminate humanity had instead awakened something in the Council species that they had forgotten they possessed: the ability to think for themselves. President Kang Min-seok addressed the galaxy from Earth's surface, speaking to humans and aliens alike. "Citizens of the galaxy, this war began because the Council feared that human chaos would spread to other species. They were right to fear this, but wrong about what it meant. Yes, our influence has spread, but what we have spread is not chaos. It is freedom. The freedom to think, to choose, to grow, and to change." In the months that followed, the old Council dissolved completely. New alliances formed based on cooperation instead of domination. The Council species discovered talents and abilities they had suppressed for millennia. Zephyrian individuals created art that had never been possible when they all thought the same thoughts. Abyssal collective members developed personal relationships and individual dreams. Nexus Syndicate robots began creating new forms of artificial life based on choice rather than programming. Admiral Lee Dae-hyun found himself overseeing the transformation of the old Council station into something new. Unity Station, a place where every species in the galaxy could meet as equals. The station's first Council session included representatives from dozens of worlds, all working together to solve problems through discussion rather than force. Ambassador Choi Miran, who had carried the Council's ultimatum to Earth so many months ago, now served as the first speaker of the Galactic Federation. Her opening address was simple but powerful. The Council wanted to know what makes humans dangerous. They thought it was our weapons, our numbers, our refusal to submit. But they were wrong. What makes us dangerous to tyrants and dictators is our absolute refusal to let anyone define our limits or the limits of any thinking being. We believe that every individual,